With Thunderwolves.com, here with Matt Morris, head track and field coach for the men and women here at CSU-Pueblo. Matt, your last tune-up before the conference meet this weekend at Colorado Mines. You've been to this track, I think this will be the third time just this indoor season. You've been there a couple of times a year. Since then, you know the track, you know what you got to do. Let's start with the guys. I think 18th in the country this last week. Kind of moved down a little bit from that third place two weeks ago, but look, that's going to happen with how well D2 is. But this weekend, what are your kind of top two goals as you head into the last week?
Yeah, we have a number of kids on the guy side that are qualified, that are in with hard marks, and we know they'll get in, and so that's always your first priority. Just getting kids in the meet, and then it sorts out from there. So we have a couple guys we'll run, some guys in the mile to try to push their times down a little bit. Marcel will run the 5K again. That's kind of our qualifying ones. And then you have some other kids that will do some events to try to get sharp before the week, Maybe we're fortunate we've had some good weather lately, but we had, some places in there where we couldn't get some stuff in. So it's just a little bit twofold. For the kids that haven't had a bunch of work in the winter, we'll get them a little sharper in a competition, so it's not like practice, and some other kids really just trying to push their times down. So when we go to the conference meet, we can just race, because that's a whole different thing. And the difference between indoor and outdoors, there's no window for a last chance meet after the conference meeting. That's it, and then the rankings come out, and there you go. So, and as far as the rankings for the season, they fluctuate a bunch because you don't even know who's going to declare what yet, and those kind of things. And so everybody's doing the same thing. You're just trying to get your kids in, put them in a spot to be competitive in 3 weeks from now, but then also go to the conference meet a week and then try to score as many points as you can there. So it's a little bit kind of juggling at this point.
So do you try and get those marks in this last weekend and then hopefully spread the guys out a little bit for conference to try and score more points?
That's a possibility, or maybe even run some events at conference you won't even run at nationals, just to work on some things and or score points. Because it's tough. The conference meet itself, everybody knows going into it that you don't get another chance at it, so they typically tends to be a little faster. So you could potentially qualify there in some of the events, but you'd hate to count on it, because if the other people already qualified, then maybe they just race and they don't set it up. And so it's hard to know what's going to happen. So you're trying to control as many things as you can ahead of time, knowing that when you go outdoors and you go to the conference meet, you're just completely concerned about the conference meet. You got 2-3 weeks afterwards to get some times in and set some races up. So it's a little bit more pressure this time of year indoors. So we're just trying to balance what everybody needs specifically.
Let's go to the women's side. They fall out of the top 25 after a couple weeks in there. Highest ranking ever 2 weeks ago, but they're still top 35 team in the nation.
Right.
Still with some really good marks. What are you kind of looking to do this weekend for the women?
Yeah, it's real similar. I think, part of the fluctuation is that we hit some of our times early, and for the kids that are getting in, and then we just not a really reason to push it down. And some other teams are going to University of Washington or some of the bigger meets later, so it pushes you on the rankings a little bit differently. So we're not too concerned about that. In is in, and then you go there and run your races. So you could go in, last year in the multi, Shelby Bozer ran in 10th and got second, and she won outdoors. So it's hard for the raters to look and go, oh, these guys are going to be here. So we're not too concerned about the rankings at this point. We'll be more concerned about what happens after the seeding comes out and who got in and that kind of thing. So again, on the women's side, we're trying to push our DMR time down. Right now, if it finished today, we'd be in, but might not be that safe, and so and then get some other field event kids some chances to jump in a good place and get some throws in and some things like that, just to clean some things up for conference. So again, pretty similar agenda. No one specifically, or you have to do this or that, and then we'll sit down after the weekend's over and kind of look at the coaches and figure out what is our best plan at conference. Obviously for Dre, we want to not do a multi at conference like we did last year. We felt we could use her big multi at the conference meet, so it's a lot about timing and doing, open events with her and that kind of thing. So we're still, at this part, it's more art than science. So every day you're doing, how you doing, how are we going, make sure everybody's put together, we're healthy, those kind of things. So it's really just a tune-up.
Well, Matt, good luck, and look forward to following you guys this weekend.
I appreciate it.